Let's stand if you are able, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Well, that was a big hum. And all of our mics were off, so I'm not sure what happened there. But...
It was me.
Oh, all right, Jonathan. All right, we'll do our best. Okay. Next up, I'd like to introduce the board members. And so I will start off with next beside me is Dr. Hilda Pena Alfaro. Also, I'm just going to skip our board rep for just a second. Tasha Woods, also Dr. Meg Ludlam, and Dr. Jonathan Henderson, and I'm Jason White. And I would love for our new student rep to introduce yourself to the board.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suvathi Nataraja, and I'm a senior at Ellensburg High School.
Wonderful. We are so excited to have you on the board. So thanks for being here tonight. All right, board. So first on our agenda, our first action item is the consent agenda. We have had the opportunity to review these as a board at our study session, as well as the time to individually seek clarification from district admin prior to this meeting. So I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, Hilda has moved that we approve the consent agenda, and Meg, right, seconded that. Board, is there any discussion? Seeing that there is not, I'll call the vote. I'll start with Jonathan. Aye. Meg.
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
Hilda.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. All right, so consent agenda approved. And I'm sorry I did not, when I did introductions, I forgot to introduce Ginger, the superintendent, Haber, and district admin. Sorry, I got to stick to a script. Sorry about you all. All right, yes, thank you for being here. We need you. All right, next up, we have the superintendent report.
So there I am, I'm back in. So I am going to.
Thousands of migrants who were under that bridge have been
I'll just talk about, I was going to just trying to share my screen to, and it's just not wanting to work. We have had several weeks of really good, great start to the school year. And so we've got some, I'm going to send out my superintendent update tomorrow. And we have some great events coming up. On September 30th at 7 o'clock, we will, Dr. Larson has agreed to host a parent Zoom with any ESD parent that would like to join us, as well as staff, of course. And so that will be going out in the superintendent update. Our transportation department has a parent portal app, and it's working, I think, really well. It can track, it helps parents know where the bus is at, and can even show like the position of where the bus is as far as how quick they get to the bus stop to let their child off. And so I think that I've gotten a lot of good positive feedback about that. And just a reminder about our Early Learning Center, we still have openings for people from the community to join our preschool. We still have some openings there. And Julie Hamilton, our ESD Director of Early Learning, has done a fabulous job in getting our preschool set up. And we have it now in the new Early Learning Center. It's got nice big windows, and Julie said it's amazing. I can't wait to get out there, and I'll share some pictures with you. We did a remodel on the annex, and we really want to develop that whole area to be an early learning center, because we know how important it is for students to get a good head start. And just celebrating Camp Morgan again, they had a great a lot of students who went to that, and just a shout out to the Morgan teachers for supporting that and helping to onboard our new 6th grade students coming in. And we now have Deanna Wilson as our district bilingual translator officially, as well as a family liaison. And we just recently hired another family liaison. And so we're ready to go to really reach out to families and make that a focus this year in building relationships with their families. And as I shared and many of you were there for the opening of Mount Stewart, we did have 3 retired teachers. June Fisher, who taught 2nd grade from 1966 to 1992, was there. Ginger Jensen, who taught 1st grade from 1967 to 1992, and Ann King, who was a resource room teacher in grades 3 through 5 from 1983 from 2001. I just really enjoyed. They were there at the ceremony, and they asked to have a tour, and it was just great to hear their stories and what it was like for them when they transferred from the old building to what's now the old Mount Stewart, and just to be there to celebrate with us. It really gave us a good sense, I think, of just that legacy of just excellent education all the way through. And that is my report.
All right, thank you, Ginger. Board, any questions? All right, then next up we have the enrollment report. Ginger?
Yes, so we're excited. Our enrollment is up, and Matt Siski is now doing our enrollment for us, and he's done an amazing job under the leadership of Kelly Kronbauer. And so Kelly will talk about our enrollment.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I have some great news. We last year obviously had lost some students due to COVID, lots of homeschooling, families that had decided to make other decisions rather than send kids to public. This year, we just went ahead and processed all of our enrollment, and enrollment is counted in 2 different ways. It's counted by full-time enrollments, FTE, and is counted in head count. So our FTE is actually up 100. Let's see, it is up 133 students from our number of 3,000. So we looked at our data last year, and we decided to be conservative in how we budgeted for this year. So we budgeted for 3,000 students, and we actually have 3,123 FTE. And that actually is going to be really a nice situation for us in the fact that we are facing some economic struggles and financial struggles as we move forward. And it's going to definitely help us as a district. So total headcount for the district is 3,238 students. And the difference between the headcount and the FTE is not all kids go full-time, some kids go part-time. We have no running start students on this particular enrollment report because they haven't started yet with Central or YVC or BCC, depending on which school kids are going to. We do have one student that is in the Step Up to College program, which is the Open Doors program through YVC, which operates very similarly to the Running Start system. So it's a pass-through when it comes to dollars. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling really positive about it. Earlier, we were talking about numbers and how they've looked over the years. I was able to go back just a couple years. So if we go back to 2019, our FTE was 3,216 students. So we're actually down a little bit from that 93 still. So from 2019, we're still down 93, but in 2020, we were down 219. So we've had a lot of kids come back. We're excited. And I do think we'll even see more kids show up in October as we still have families registering. Questions?
Thank you for sharing this enrollment with us. As you said, it does matter for our funding, so it does have an impact on what services and opportunities our students get. I think it's also a potential leading indicator of is what ESD offering within the context of what our community is looking for and what's needing. And so I think it will be very interesting moving forward, and hopefully we can have some productive conversations with families that have opted out or who are doing something different as to the why, or as we build back from COVID, as every system builds back from COVID, what will ESD look like and how will it be different? Because I hope that we are different and not constantly trying to be the same as it was before. And so I am looking at this, and if I'm wrong, if anyone push back on this, of looking as a possible leading indicator as to families or learners who are choosing different than our system, and to see where we should be having stronger conversation.
Board, anyone else?
I just want to say what Tosh is saying, because I think that it's very important that the school district is inclusive to everyone. And that also talks about equity. So it's really, really important that we look at these families and find out what are they not coming back and where are they operating out. So what do they need in order to be?
All right. I don't see any other questions. So thank you, Kelly. All right, board will move on to 3C, highly capable program update. Ginger.
Yes, and this is something that is required by the grant program that funds the highly capable program, and Kelly is going to tell us about this as well.
All right. Hey, Leslie, are you able to open that PowerPoint for us? That would be wonderful. Thank you. So every year I get up here and I share with you this information that is pretty much the same thing every year. I'm here to share about the grant specifically. And so I wanted to go ahead and just create a visual, because the grant isn't super user-friendly for most people. And I figured that I could probably talk with a little bit more accuracy just using a PowerPoint and giving you that information. So the grant is the grant number 217. We are required by state rules to share the highly capable board or highly capable program plan with the school board every year for approval. And as you would see, if you had a chance, I think you all had an example of the grant, you could look through it. A lot of it is check marks, right? There's lots of options within the program, but basically what we're doing is we're saying that we are meeting the assurances of the state on what is expected of us. Oh, that's an old one. Sorry about that. That's Leslie, that's an old presentation. I don't know where that one came from. I apologize if that.
You could screen share, Kelly, because you are co-host, I think.
I'm not on. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and just talk you through it. We're good to go. So basically the sections of the grant talk about identification, continuum and variety of services, goals and monitoring and evaluation, and then how our school board approval as well as equitable identification. Okay, so if I take you back to the very first one, identification. Basically, we're just attesting that the school district has a plan that is appropriate for public notification. So we have a very specific process on how to notify our parents and our students. Anybody in the community could nominate, and we do that twice a year in both the fall and in the spring. We have a referral process where teachers, staff, parents, students, any community member can refer students. We do screening procedures. So as we look at all of the students in our district, and this is one area of identification relating to equity that I think is really important, is that we do a universal screening for all second grade kids. And we are now using assessments that are equity friendly. So they're nonverbal assessments. So language is not a piece of the screening process. So we're not discriminating against students, but we look at cognitive, academic, creativity, and other informal measures to screen kids into the program. We also have assessment procedures. So once we've screened them and we determine which students we think might test in, then we actually test them. And it's an assessment process, which again involves a cognitive measure, an academic measure, a creativity measure, and informal measures. And then we have a multidisciplinary selection committee, which is made up of our teachers, administrators, and school psychologists as required by law to be on the disciplinary team as the multidisciplinary team to select. And the state has actually allowed a lot more leniency or district authority over how and what benchmarks communities can use for data. So it used to be that we would follow a national data percentage, and now it can be locally normed. Any questions on identification? Okay. Next, we have continuum in variety of services, and we are required to offer this continuum. And so it's a K through 12 program. If we offer a program, it has to be all the way through. We can't say, oh, we're going to start something in 4th grade, or we're going to only start something in 8th grade. It has to be a full program all the way through. And our programs are a general education classroom-based or a unique, highly capable services program. So there's actually 4 options, but the 2 that our district uses is general ed, and then unique, highly capable services. So our K through 5, or actually our 3 through 5, is what would be the unique service, where we bus them to a particular location and provide them a specific highly capable program. We are moving towards a general education program where we will be delivering highly capable services directly in the gen ed classrooms. And that's the model that we're moving towards. That's the model we were moving towards before COVID happened. And we're still in that process. Okay, when it comes to goals, monitoring, and evaluation, every district is required to have very specific program goals for highly capable students on file for the auditors to look at, as well as record keeping requirements. So we've attested that we have those. And then we have an evaluation that's conducted every spring, and that evaluation is specifically driven by certain data points that we've outlined in this grant. Typically, we're doing data dives on students and seeing their performance, specifically relating to certain tasks. And then last but not least, we have a page on the school board approval. So I will actually take the notes from this meeting and upload it to the state so that they know that you've heard about it. And then there's a section on equitable identification. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Jen Kuntz had done some sharing about making sure that we are doing more equity work and really improving the levels of and the types of students that are qualifying for the program. And we are looking to take the following actions to prioritize equitable identification of low-income students. So we're using the NNAT3 screener, which is that screener I was telling you about. It's a universal screener for all 2nd grade, and it is a nonverbal assessment. We are also reviewing assessment results and giving special consideration for students in English language learning, as well as in special education, and doubly exceptional students, or double exceptional students. We have also assessed students at their home during COVID. So we've done some unique and creative things to make sure that kids are getting assessed or had special options for them. We provided extra testing time. We provided a referral process in the enrollment packet and in the enrollment process, so every family that enrolls knows that we do have a highly capable program. And let's see here. We also have gifted indicators and characteristics of highly capable students that we share with staff. And those are the pieces that we are doing at this time. So with that said, this is the nuts and bolts of the HiCap program and what we do. I would like to invite Jennifer Cooks to come back and talk specifically around some of the data that we have. But this is the program plan that we have. We currently are going to operate as we did prior to COVID this year, with the fact that we have some elementary schools under construction this year, and we've got a lot of space issues. We're going to continue on serving kids the way we did in 2019. And that program has moved to Valley View, and then the middle school and high school will remain the same in how they deliver their service models. Is there any questions? This is riveting stuff.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that now we have a different kind of assessment for the students, because ultimately what we want to see in this highly capable program is a reflection of the percentage of a different population of the students that are reflected in this program. And I'm looking forward to see the data from Jen and see how we are doing and how we are getting to that goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. All right, board, we have nothing for business or policies, so that moves us very quickly to board reports. Hilda, is there an early learning report?
No, not today, but we are going to start the first meeting of the early coalition is going to be in October. So hopefully soon I will have a report for you.
All right, thank you, Hilda. Student reports. Do you have a student report tonight?
No, I do not have a student report today, considering it's only been 2 weeks since the start of school. But I can safely say that all students are very excited to be back in the building among their peers and their teachers.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. We will look forward to future reports from you. So thank you so much. All right, Tasha, do we have a teaching and learning report?
We do, and I'm going to apologize for its length in advance. I'm going to try, and I meant to get this to Leslie so that you guys would have the links that I'm referring to, but I ran out of time. I will do that tomorrow. In case anyone's interested in following up with this. So I have a report on the State Board of Education, Washington State Board of Education. They held its annual planning retreat between September 14th and 16th, and they had priorities that they outlined for this year. So the legislative requests and priorities are extending voting authority to student members on the State Board of Education, budget requests for resources to develop recommendations for a statewide approach to assessing school climate. So watching the funding mechanism on that, because we've had unfunded mandates on that in the past. Budget requests for resources to strengthen the board's capacity for community engagement. And that's leading into their main priority, which is equity and inclusivity. They've been working really hard on that. But when it comes to also impact in our classrooms, they've been really putting emphasis on graduation pathway options. And a couple years ago, right, they had the Core 24 that was coming out where they are looking at doing another change to the graduation pathways. And they're also moving quite strongly towards mastery-based learning, where they've had the legislative has required a work group on that. And they reviewed a timeline of whole statewide alignment for 2022, which is coming up really quickly for schools to potentially have to adjust to mastery-based learning. They are also working strongly this year for profile of a graduate, and they are asking for community involvement in that. So if you want to go to the State Board of Education, they're looking for diverse stakeholders to say what the profile of a high school graduate should look like for the state of Washington. They are also proposing for a potential requirement for ethnic studies for all high school graduates, and that would be looking at 2022. So the State Board of Education came out with a lot of significant developments out of that retreat that we could see an effect of that as early as 2022. Along with that, the California mathematics frameworks is moving rapidly towards development. And so I have both of these websites for it. I bring up the California State Board of Education because what happens in California tends to spread across the nation really quickly as publishers react and colleges react, because this is going to affect both curriculum in the classroom and college requirements. And so the California Mathematics Framework is looking for adoption of May 2022, expecting it to be implemented 22-23 years. So they are building up for their systems already to adopt a massive change to the mathematics framework. And some of that, really what's focused on, is developing number sense, a stronger system of number sense in K-12, and that mathematics classrooms should be reflective of visible thinking and hands-on learning and manipulative. The big thing that could potentially affect high schools is that they are trying to align different pathways so that, in their words, in quotes, there's not a rush to calculus. Instead, there is many pathways in it, and they lay out all the pathways on this website, but really looking at more diverse and data and statistics for all students. The thing that I think that was really important for us to consider is that the University of California came out and said, they are, in quotes, they strongly urge students not to race to calculus at the cost of full mastery of the earlier math curriculum. A strong grasp of these ideas is crucial for college coursework in many fields, and students should be sure to take enough time to master the material. Choosing an individually appropriate course of study is far more important than rushing into advanced classes without first solidifying conceptual knowledge. They are saying this because the University of California is saying that even their advanced students who are coming out of colleges with calculus, they are having to reteach that to their students, and it's costing the college system a lot of money. And so they are putting pressure on the high schools to draft these different pathways. So a lot of schools are looking at, are we pushing our advanced students into calculus, and do we even have data and statistics in our high school, and are we offering it to general ed? So California is looking at, it's really clearly lined out on the mathematics framework site. Lots of input has been taken, but they are looking for the vote on that of May 2022. And if you guys are excited to read about this stuff, I will get this to Leslie. I bring that up for teaching and learning because I know it doesn't have to do with our system exactly, but hopefully Ellensburg can be proactive in this approach and not reactive to some of these things that are coming, either for our students who are applying to universities or for our teachers who have to look at what we're offering our students. That's my report.
Very nice. Thank you, Tasha. That was very informative, and I have to admit, I was excited about a lot of what I was hearing. So thank you for that update. Board, any questions for Tasha? All right, then moving on. Meg, is there a legislative report?
Yes, but not anywhere near as exciting as the teaching and learning report. The WASDA, Washington State School Directors Association General Assembly is happening at the end of October, and ledge reps, which I am for this board, and others are strongly encouraged to prioritize their legislative recommendations, of which they have a list of. It actually isn't as many as I thought it was. Appears to be only 93 instead of 139. That's the number of pages in the document. But anyway, I'm working on coming up with a list of priorities, and am fairly close to that, which I would hope to bring to the board at the next meeting, so that you can comment.
All right, thank you, Meg. And I do not have a board chair update, so that would lead us into public comment. So Leslie, do you want to get us set up for the public comment? All right, while Leslie's getting us set up, I will read how we will move forward. Individuals wishing to be heard by the board will add their names to the document in the Zoom chat box, or individuals will be recognized within Zoom by using the icon or emoji to show they're raising their hands. So for Zoom, raising your hand is really the best way to do that. Those of you here in public, just make sure that you've signed in with Leslie to speak, and we will call upon you. Once the chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. The chair may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directive, or abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of all such rulings. In accordance to the Open Public Meetings Act 4230, agendas and topics must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments may be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org. Leslie, are we ready to open public comment? Wonderful. All right, so public comment is now open. Leslie, do we have anyone in person who would like to speak?
Mr. Crane.
All right, Mr. Crane, if you'd like to go to the podium, you will have 3 minutes once you begin.
Over here.
Okay, thank you.
My dad was a growth farmer.
Okay, this is his Bible. It is highly marked. I have come home after he worked a long day and seen him in his big chair fall asleep with this on his face. He was elected to the school board in Sweet Home when his name was not even on the ballot. I grew up respecting him. I went to church with him regularly. He lived what he believed. And he read it from the Bible. Here is a book. I put a copy of it, of the face of this book on the papers, which I have I have 6 copies for each one of the school board members. But in this book, it talks about what has happened in our country and in the world. A lady who is a sexologist, a doctor, speaking to a world council, asked them, if you had the love of your dream, would you go to bed with that person if you knew they had AIDS wearing a condom in front of 800 people from around the world? Not one person raised their hand. And she said, to advocate something that you would not do for yourself is dishonest. These papers here that I have, I also mentioned this in my paper. This is called the Primer. It was printed in 1777. This was the book that was used in the public schools to teach the kids to read, and it is all Bible. That was our system. Since we have canceled the Bible in our public schools, sex misbehavior and sexual transmitted disease has gone skyrocketing. All kinds of things go bad. I mentioned it in this paper. I worked hard on this. In this paper here, in this book here, The Myth of Separation.
Thank you. That was our 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. But we will be happy to take the documents. If you had copies for us, Leslie would be happy to take those from you if you had something you were wanting to give to the board members. So
I didn't hear what you said.
I said we would be happy to take the documents. If you had documents for the board that you wanted to give to the board members, Leslie would be happy to take those from you. So thank you.
There are 6 copies here.
Okay.
There are things in there
All right.
for each one of you
Okay.
to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
I don't expect you to agree with me on everything, and I don't know what you can do, if anything,
Okay.
but
Sorry, we have to cut the time, but thank you. We heard you and do appreciate your time. All right, Leslie, do we have another person in? Yes, it looks like we have another person. Okay, Dwight, perfect. And Dwight, Leslie, are we ready for the timer just to make sure? Okay. Yep. And Dwight, as soon as you're ready, you'll have your 3 minutes.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Kevin Dwight. I live at 402 South Quartz Mountain Drive here in Ellensburg. I'm here tonight to celebrate teachers. I want to celebrate the dedication, the passion, and the caring that I have witnessed from our Ellensburg School District teaching staff. I am a teacher of science at Ellensburg High School. I'm also the Education Association co-president. I am a Rotarian, a husband, and a community leader in recreation endeavors. Like me, teachers are community leaders in so many ways. I have witnessed teachers demonstrating unwavering resolve in the face of highly polarized topics with students and families. Teachers are educating. Teachers are creating unity in a time of strife. Teachers are working hard to protect students and families by following health and safety guidelines. Teachers want to provide the greatest level of protection to our community while serving the needs of families by continuing to offer in-person school. Together, we succeed as a community. Teachers educate, teachers protect, teachers empower, and teachers inspire. Help us continue to do that important work. Continue to support teachers as we work with students in these trying times. Please continue to support teachers as we work to unite classrooms of students with contrasting values. And lastly, Ellensburg School Board, administration, continue to support teachers as we work to find equilibrium with students, families, coworkers, and even at times with ourselves as this roller coaster that we all ride continues to undulate. Remember, as our community tries to return to life as normal, that teachers are human and can still struggle with balancing those professional expectations. As union president, I am hearing a lot of stories about teachers being overwhelmed. Please consider this as we continue to strive to serve the community to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dwight. All right, Leslie, we don't have anyone else in person, correct? Oh.
No one else in person and no one has raised their hand.
Okay, so can you set a timer just for 30 seconds, just to give anybody here in Zoom just real quick time to raise their hand. Again, if you are on Zoom and you wish to speak, just make sure you raise your hand in the next 30 seconds. All right, and that is 30 seconds. So public comment is now closed. Okay, board, that takes us to new business. Proposed items for future consideration.
I got the last 30 seconds of it. Gosh dang it. Yeah.
There we go. Board. Any proposed items for consideration? Nick, did you have any?
I thought it was at the end of
be under calendar, but I was raising a question that came up in the agenda setting meeting of whether we wanted to have a board retreat to consider some urgent topics that are on our horizon.
And I was thinking if you would like to, it'd be nice to at least try to identify like a week that might work for people. And then we could look at days within that week, like maybe the last week in October, maybe the third week in October, and then we can work on finding a place and a time.
So you want us to email you available dates?
Yeah, if you
want us
maybe
to
think
do
of
it?
either like the third week in October, maybe the fourth week in October, something like that.
General Assembly is fourth week, but it's in the very end.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great if you can look at those 2 weeks, which week would work best for you, and then I'll collect that and we'll try to call around and work through that process to identify a time and date for the retreat.
Are we talking about a window of 4 hours or how long?
Yeah, I think in the past, we've gone like from maybe like 9 to 11:30, have some lunch, and then maybe stay until 2, something like that.
Because we really should rename it from retreat to.
Yeah, it's a work session. It's not a retreat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll do one fun thing. Come on, Tasha.
That's true. I don't want to be just the downer, but.
Okay. Look at all the board of education accomplished in its retreat.
Okay, that sounds good. Sorry, I was checking my schedule because I have a 2-week vacation in October and I was like, okay, I gotta make sure I share that with you. So, okay, sounds good. Board, it didn't appear there was any other proposed items for consideration. So that will move us on to executive session. Ginger, do we have an executive session? I understand we do. Okay, so how long do you think the executive session will go for? Until 7:05? Okay, so we are going to, the board will adjourn to executive session until 7:05. Thank you. And board, I know we haven't done this in person before in this space, so we are going into the admin's office for the executive session, so.
Yes. That's like you get copies of this material. Okay, awesome. She will make sure. I sure was trying to. You have a good evening. I try all the time. You have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Well, I teach them. It's not their last year. Yeah, it's not their last year. It's a lot, yeah. I was really looking forward to it. Right. Right. Yeah. That's nice to show. It's all, LA. They don't wear a lot. I know some of them wear a lot. And then coaches. Yeah. Do you like this better? If you'd rather cut that than that, then it'd be better. It's just change it. She's good. Thinking about this.
set it so you can see the board doc, so you can see the agenda?
So Leslie, I think we have 2 more minutes, right? Before we can, okay. Which is perfect because I can get my screen back on.
But it's students.
Leslie, is Meg still here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. Yes, it now is 7:05. We are back after our executive session. For the next item was board calendar. Is there anything to add to board calendar? I am seeing that there is not. Any clarification and next steps? No, thank you, Ginger. Signing of documents. I think I signed what I needed, but it looks like we're good otherwise. Okay, thank you, Leslie. So that would be adjournment. I will entertain a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
I second. All right, then we are officially adjourned. And Leslie, you got that. Tasha moved and Jonathan seconded. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.